Right, so I've just watched Guillermo del Toro's Netflix Frankenstein movie, and I'm very glad I didn't go to the cinema to see this. And I did some early screenings in the cinema. A lot of people went to that. I'm so glad I didn't. I did not enjoy this version of Frankenstein at all. It was definitely not my favourite. I I know that what it was. Like, I'll tell you, the opening scenes of this film, where you see him on the ice and the boat, all that stuff, I adored. I thought this was going to be one of my favourite films of the year. Up to that section, the whole when the monster attacks the boat in the ice, and he's like laying waste to all of the people on the boat and that, and he moves the boat and all that stuff. That phenomenal. I was like, if this film carries on like this, it's going to be the best film I've seen in years. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And it carried on and on and on. This is so long. This I was starting to fall asleep. That's how I know it's not a good film. When I start to like, because like not a lot's happening, it was too long. I thought they dragged too much out. Like the whole creating of the creature, I thought was dragged out too long. Like when we saw him doing it, initial like him putting him together and all that stuff, that was great. Where you saw like all the bodies piling up and all the parts and all that, and him getting rid of all the stuff. That was brilliant. Like that whole section was fantastic. But it was the lot after he has the creature and that length of time he was in the house and he was trying to train the creature and it wasn't working. He was losing his temper with it, and then his brother and his brother's fiance turned up, and then they were kind of just like trying to help, and it was wrong. And then they left, and then he was going to burn the place down. It was just like, oh my god, they didn't need any of that sort of stuff. It should have literally just been him and the monster, him getting and sick of it, and then deciding that's it. I'm going to kill this. I've failed. I'm going to kill it. That should have been all we needed. We didn't need the the brother died of the story. We didn't need to really know his past that much. All we had to know was that he was a scientist who was obsessed with the idea of like creating life and bringing back life. That's all we needed to know. We didn't need to know about his dad. We didn't need to know that much about his mum, the backstory. All you had to do is that he's all you could have done was in one like scene, just had him talk to his brother about his dad, like how the dad put pressure on him, how it was too much. And that would have explained it. We didn't need all that backstory. It was like, this is too much. It was like, it felt like it was going to be a TV series, maybe a 3-parter, and then they went, oh no, just cram it into a movie, but we'll still keep everything in there. It was just to me, it was just too much. And then we had the whole like, let's go on to the creature, right? So the creature, the monster, if you want to call it that, is too pretty. I mean, it's not Brad Pitt, but it's like the scarring was neat and tidy. It looked nice. The muscles on it, the look of it. When the hair grew long, he kind of looked like a bit of an Adonis for the monster creature. We're supposed to be afraid of this thing, and I wasn't. And I kept getting like Avatar vibes and like this weird like bluish coloured skin. It didn't make sense. I just couldn't understand why we went that way when the creature's supposed to be terrifying and scary and the thing of nightmares, and it just wasn't. As I said, the beginning opening scene of this, where you saw them on the boat and in the ice and all that stuff, that was fantastic. When this film started, I was so like, this is going to be the best film of the year. I was so into it. I was like, oh, this is great, because you see him come out and he starts laying waste to all the sailors and taking them out. That's the monster I wanted, with the mask up, so we couldn't see the face. It was kind of like blurred. He had a funny eye. That looked fantastic. And then when they showed him like how, like from the moment he was created leading up to sort of like the rest of the film, he looked too bloody handsome, that monster. Frankenstein, on the other hand, what's his name? Who played Frankenstein? He played Poe in Star Wars as well. He's been a lot. He was in Moon Knight as well, wasn't he? He's done a lot of stuff, but he was fantastic. He's like obsession, that anger, that passion, that and then the feeling he had afterwards. All the people that are dying because of the thing he created. That was brilliant as well. He was fantastic. I just wished it was shrunk down a little bit, so it wasn't so much this much of it, but we kind of went that much of the film, and that would be enough, because his intensity was brilliant. He was good. Wasn't so clean on the person playing Elizabeth. I know she's been in lots of things. We know her from like Triple X and Pearl and all that stuff, and she's a good actress in those, but I don't think it fit the role we had here. I don't know why, it didn't feel right. And we didn't get a whole like Bride of Frankenstein moment either, which I was kind of hoping we might see. Like see her turn into it and then like, see that's how the monster goes mad finally. And like we didn't get the revenge of Frankenstein, the creature. We didn't get the revenge of the monster, which is the whole purpose to me of Frankenstein, that he's been created. He didn't want to be created, but he's been created, given life, and then told, this is all you're going to get. And then you get the whole, I'll promise I'll make you a bride, I'll make you something. And then he doesn't go through it. So then he goes after him and goes on the rampage. And that's why he's hunting him down. But this one is weird. And it was like things happened in this film that did not need to happen. Like Frankenstein having the prosthetic leg. That didn't need to be in the... It didn't go anywhere. It didn't become anything. It was just, he's got a prosthetic leg. And there was no point to it. Like, you saw how it happened with the explosion and that. But again, no real point to it. So I'm jumping all over the place on this one. But it was just... I'm really disappointed. I'm really... Because, again, I thought this was going to be brilliant. Like, some of the visuals are fantastic. But it's a very Netflixy movie. So when I'm watching films on Netflix, I don't know if you agree with me, right? But when you watch films on Netflix, you know it's a Netflix movie by the way it looks. There's something about them being like crystal clear and pristine that they don't need to be. Like the look of them. Like they've gone over it with like a AI brush or something over everything and just to make it look pretty. And that's how it felt. This film felt too pretty. This is a Frankenstein movie that to me felt really pretty. And I don't want a pretty Frankenstein. I want an ugly, dirty Frankenstein movie. I want to feel the grotesqueness. There were some scenes, like even scenes where you thought it was going to be, like the scene where you sort of see him walking through the butcher's part of the alleyway at the beginning. And you've got the blood running through the streets. It looked too clean. Like, I've lived in London, so I know how some of those dirtier streets can look. And this was the cleanest, dirty butcher street I've ever seen. Obviously, I wasn't born back in those times, but London now is dirtier than it was in that. And I was like, what is going on? Like, it felt too clean. When you're in his laboratory, he's got all like, the bodies stacked up and all that. Yes, it didn't look nice, but it still looked clean. Everything looked like it'd been scrubbed down before. It was weird. Even the sewer bit, where Frankenstein's in the sewer, it looks so clean. It's a sewer. You know, it's really bizarre. I will say that I enjoyed the part of the film where we followed the monster into the house of the blind guy. But I wanted a bit more aggression. Like him fighting the wolves was good, although the CGI on those wolves was pretty bloody bad, to be honest with you. I thought that was a bit awful, the CGI. But you see him fight when he rips the face off the one wolf and he's killing the wolves and that. That was not bad because they went for the old man. He's trying to help the old man, and then you get the family come back and try and kill him. And that was good, but I kind of wanted more to that. That's the only part I wanted more to. We didn't need to see him lurking in the shadows. Him and that friendship with that old man would have been nice. If maybe they had the family stood around but he never sees him, I don't know. But the family just happened to just go away for a bit so Frankenstein could talk to the old man. And now we're going to get into the ending of this. So obviously the whole point to me, I've always felt Frankenstein is the revenge story. The creature's revenge is what this story is about. The mad scientist and then the creature's revenge. Like because and it's almost, you can almost argue from a biblical side, it's like God's revenge because he's playing God and God's like, you ain't having none of that. If you know what I mean? I'm not a religious man. I'm not going to say I am, but like that's the way the vibe the story always went to me. Like there's a man here that's playing God who's creating life when he shouldn't be doing this. And then you get like the creature, and the creature's kind of like has no purpose but doesn't understand that, and then wants something and he has it all taken away, so then he wants revenge. And the whole point to me of Frankenstein is the creature getting his revenge. And while yes, Victor Frankenstein dies at the end, but there's this whole like, it was like, it was like a very, they just sort of sat down and talked about their feelings for a bit. Like the creature comes in the room and you expect him, he's going to kill him or whatever, but he's like, he pulls up a chair and has a little sit down, with a little chat. Let's have a cup of tea. I'm surprised they didn't pull out a little cup of tea. He's like having a little, and he's like, oh, they're talking about their feelings and the history and the stuff, and then Victor dies, and the monster kind of just walks away, and walks off into the sunset. And I thought to myself, as he walked into the sunset, they're planning a sequel. And I don't want that. Like the adventures of the creature through time. And you can imagine, because they said this creature can't die. So in this version, we sort of get the fact that he can regenerate. So whatever Victor's done to him makes him regenerate. So gets a cut, it heals, blah, blah, blah. It also probably means he can't age and he can't die. Because we see him, they tried to kill him. Every time he dies, he comes back. This thing just keeps resurrecting him. So he can't die. So, and that was another bit that really confused me, right? So when the family came back from the hunt, saw him with the uncle, with the granddad, with the blind granddad, and they shot him and they killed him. He laid in the snow. They could see where he fell, and they left him there. They just left the body there, even though it's technically on their doorstep. They didn't think, oh, we better move that. That'll attract the wolves back again. They just left it there. They didn't go and investigate it. Where he fell, and it seemed like he was there for a while, like days, weeks maybe, and they sort of left it there. And they're in the house. I was like, what is going on? Anyway, so yeah, he can resurrect himself. He can't die. So that means he can live on for ages. And I was like, are we now going to get a series or a franchise from this where you get like Frankenstein's monster through the ages? So we sort of see him in the different periods of time. Maybe we see him during the war. Maybe he's a big player during World War II or World War One in the trenches. Maybe you see him sort of like in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, do you know what I mean? I was just like, I don't get why they did this, because I thought this was going to be a true telling of the book. Because also we were getting that other, was it Christian Bale Frankenstein movie coming out soon? It's like The Bride of Frankenstein, called The Bride, that looks mental. I said when I did a trailer reaction for that I thought this version, the Netflix one, was going to be better. Now I'm thinking the Christian Bale version is going to be better, because this, I just wasn't happy. I was watching it, I was sitting there just like, not caring about many of the characters. The only one I cared about was Victor by the end of it, and I'm supposed to care about the monster a bit more, and then I'm supposed to fear the monster, but I had none of that with the monster. They didn't do enough to make him terrifying. They didn't do enough to make him lovable. They kept him, like, as the kids say, mid. He was very mid, this Frankenstein. Like, if you ever see Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Robert De Niro plays the creature. And even though that film didn't do so well, it wasn't a big success, De Niro is terrifying in that movie. If you watch the original Universal ones, when you see, like, was it Boris Karloff, I think it plays him? Or I think it's like, yeah, whoever it is, plays him. The bolts and all. That is a scary monster, right? Various other iterations of the Frankenstein story has been done before, and it's usually a scary thing. They've tried to make it too Netflixy, and that's what kind of let me down a bit, the Netflixiness of it. So I said, I'm very glad I didn't go to the cinema to see this, because I can imagine I'd have fallen asleep in the cinema, because my cinema is very comfy chairs. At home, I was sitting watching this, and I could feel myself going, and I was like, no, come stay away. You've got to see the end of this. But as I said, it was too long. It was far too long. They could have easily shrunk it. Like, I do think this was intended to be like a 3-part series, or like a mini series or something like that. But in the end, they went, oh no, what we'll do is we'll make it a film instead. And they sort of condensed it, but didn't condense it nowhere near enough. If you made them half-hour episodes, you've got at least a whole series there. If you made them an hour long, you've got like you could have easily done 3-hour-long things with that. I think it was like 2 hours and something long film, but it was too long. 2 hours would have been enough. Less than that would have been better. I just didn't enjoy this one, and I hate negative reviews. I hardly ever do negative reviews, but this one, it let me down, so I wanted to give a negative review. So I'm sorry, Netflix. I'm sorry, Guillermo del Toro. I do like your stuff normally, but this was just a bit. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know if you enjoy it. What do you think of it? Am I wrong? Should I watch this again and maybe, like, I don't know, drink a load of Red Bull or something before it? Maybe that was it. Maybe I was just tired watching it. I don't know. But let me know what you thought of the film. Did you think this was a good version of Frankenstein? Did you not? What was your thoughts, feelings on this one? It is still on Netflix now, so if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Don't let me depress you and stop you watching it. Go and see it for yourself and let me know what you think. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you very, very soon for another review.